right. Well, let me ask you this. How many of you out there are wondering if you should get a 3D printer at home, right? You're wondering, well, is it going to be all fun and games, or, can it actually be productive? And, well, let me show you an example. This is a piece, that you can find in your house or in your garage or whatever. And this is a piece that I'm going to repair. And sure, I could go out and just buy the piece, but then again, I can sit here and make it in no time at all, and get it fixed right away, right? Well, let me show you what I got. So these two pieces, they came off of an Echo trimmer, a gas trimmer, weed eater, and you can see where this is snapped right here. And what it is, this is the choke lever. And this trimmer has been bruised and beaten and just totally misused, right? So there was a few broken pieces on there, and this was included on one of them. And the other piece is on a carburetor, which I happen to have some spare parts, right? But this I don't. And this I decided is like, you know what? I'm going to model this up and print it off, because I don't want to have to buy this whole assembly. And that's the only way you can get it, right? You have to buy this whole assembly and spend 15 or 20 bucks on it, when all I have to do is just model this off and print it, right? Now in this case, I also have to know some CAD programs, right? And I use Fusion 360. But my background, I've used Pro Engineer, Creo, SolidWorks, and now I've been using Fusion 360 for quite a few years now. But that was part of my, my profession, right? It was just product design and development, so I know all this stuff. But learning a CAD program is not that hard, and there's a bunch of free CAD programs out there. Now, in my opinion, I mean, you can look at them all, but in my opinion, if you're going to look for a free one that you can build on, take a look at Fusion 360. Because I think it's a good stepping stone, and if you decide to go full out with it, you can buy the license, or even move on to SolidWorks and Creo and have a shorter learning curve, right? But that's just my opinion. You can give it a try. Otherwise, if you have a 3D printer, you can also just look online at some of the repositories like printables.com, and you can look and see what everybody's doing. You can download files, the files necessary to print off, and just print off what you want. But if you run into a custom piece like this, you're probably not going to find the file for this. I'll be posting this up on Printables myself, but it's kind of a specialty part, right? And I will make it available to you later on. But most of the stuff like this, around the house and out in the garage, making parts that have broken off or obsolete parts, that kind of thing, you'll probably need to look at a CAD program. But the 3D printer, there has most of them have a small footprint. You can get an entry-level printer at a pretty good price and give it a shot, right? But let me show you the steps I do, through this whole process. And what I like to do first, I like to take the pieces and measure everything out, sketch it by hand, and get all my dimensions that I need, and then go on Fusion 360 and model it up. So I'm going to take some time and do that. I'm just going to get my calipers out, measure everything off, and get ready for it. Alright, so I've got it all sketched up. I just got the two pieces. You can see just rough sketches, some of the basic dimensions on there. A couple of them here I'm going to leave open until I can see. I think I want to change it a little bit, maybe make it a little more sturdy, a little beefier at that point where it broke. This piece, yeah, I'll just any changes I want to make, I'll do it on the fly. But at least I have my basic dimensions right, and I can get started here. So here you can see I started with Fusion 360, just laying out the basic framework and adding features and whatnot. It's not that hard to learn. If you want to learn, there are tons of videos out on YouTube. Guys are covering a lot of tutorials from beginning up to expert stage, and I could even start my own, lessons. Just let me know if that's what you want to see. I could probably start something, but you can see I'm just laying out format, laying out, threading holes, just doing some basic stuff. Well, that's the first piece. I'm going to go back and do the same with this, and then we'll print them off. Alright, so that is finished. There's the choke lever on the Bamboo Lab X1 carbon. I think I'll print this one off using this piece. I'll use ASA because it's outdoor, weather resistant, UV protection, high temperature, plus it does well against other chemicals and stuff like gas and oil, while other filaments don't. I think this one will be the best shot. This one I'm going to go with orange, and the only orange I have, well, luckily I have some, it's PETG. It might not be as still a lot of strength, a lot of durability for outdoor use, but I don't think it has the chemical resistance that this does, the ASA, but it should work just fine. So we'll get the orange out of it. I'm going to do this on a different printer. This one I'll do on the Bamboo Lab X1 carbon. So this is the Bamboo Lab Studio. It's their slicer, and I would highly recommend learning the slicing program. It's where you lay your part in, set your parameters, it goes layer by layer, generating the G-code and everything for your printer to read. And if you don't know the slicer, if you don't know this software, you could have a great printer, but if you don't know the software, you're going to end up with a mess. So this is going to take 13 minutes total, and at a cost of 3 cents. So that's why I don't want to go out and buy this stuff. I just want to take a couple of hours out of my day, and it'll cost me 3 cents. So let's alright, well, that's going. I'm going to start the orange piece. It goes through a different slicer program, and I'll be printing it off on one of these Ender 3s. So there is the slicer for the other piece. And FYI, I use the Ultimaker Cura slicer for all my other printers, like a bunch of Ender 3 Pros modified and Anycubic Piper. Everything looks good. And this one will take 25 minutes. This is going to one of the Ender 3s, and it is a little slower than the X1 carbon. Say if it took 13 minutes for that piece on the carbon, it would probably take over 30 minutes for the Ender 3. Yeah, so this one was 25 minutes. It would have probably been under 10 minutes on there. But I'll have them going at the same time. So plus I have the PETG already set up on a different printer, and we'll see how it goes. Well, there we go. There's the finished product. Working like it should. Alright. So much of the work that I do is like this example. I'll find some stuff that needs to be fixed, or or I'll come up with a bright idea of a new product, right? And I'll prototype it and sometimes even make the entire product out of it. But I'm more on the utilitarian side of it. I don't do a whole lot of, well, you see behind me, I've printed some of this stuff off that I thought was pretty cool. And little Terminator bust. I mean, it's cool stuff, but that's what you see right here. That's about all of the decorative or cool stuff that I've printed off. Everything else has been parts, and I'll actually have some products out on the market that I make here. But that's mainly what I do with it. What you do with it, man, that's your choice. Yeah, because like 20 years ago, used 3D printing for rapid prototyping, right? Where I could prototype a piece and test it out and verify a lot before I go to tooling and go to production and take on the expense of all that. But the past 5 years, holy cow, I've been, it's becoming wide open, and I'm actually making products strictly, through 3D printing. I run back here, I have a print farm, and I run, running production parts. So if you're looking to get started, like I said, you can find a starter 3D printer fairly cheap, $200-250, and it'll get you started. I guess the biggest thing, if you don't know any CAD or anything, well, you can download the files. There's a lot of repositories, kind of like printables.com. Just Google it, and you'll find all these different places where you can download the files necessary that you need, and poof, just go print them off. Just if you're ready to start printing off your own designs and your own parts, then that's when you need to step in and learn a CAD program. But like I said, give Fusion 360 a shot, because out of all this stuff that I'm talking about, you'll have to learn the ins and outs of the printer, the slicing program like Cura or from Prusa, or like the Bamboo Lab slicer, and what else, and a CAD program. But all three of those, there's a lot of help out there for you, right? You can look online for forums, you can watch YouTube videos for instructional videos on it, join a group on Facebook, find a forum online somewhere, and even the manufacturer a lot of times will have a blog that you can access, and so there's a ton of help out there for you to help you along. Yeah, so give it a try. If you're mechanically inclined, it can be a blast and pretty useful, like I showed you. It can also be a lot of fun to have projects with your kids, right? Get them to learn something new. You can use it as a side hustle if you want to make some bucks on the side, or you could decide to make a whole career out of it, right? So it just depends on how far you want to go with it. But I guess the first thing is you just get started with it. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Make some comments on this video. But you can also find me on the V3 Precision site and the Small Engine DIY channel. Then of course, you can find me on Facebook also, and on my websites. I guess that is it. If you're wondering if you want to get started, maybe this will help you out. Give it a try, have some fun. In the meantime, be sure to like, subscribe, and watch for my next video.